Okay, so good day my fellow taong bayan, mga kasimor, at ngayon po papag-usapan natin tong pagpangalan kala Senator Bato, Senator Bongo, and other members po ng Duterte administration as co-perpetrators daw po ni FPRRD dun sa pending drug war case niya sa International Criminal Court or the ICC. Okay? So in very simple terms, ang ibig sabihin po ng co-perpetrator ay kakuntsaba daw po ni FPRRD itong mga nakapangalan dito. So in other words, nagkaroon daw sila ng conspiracy to commit the alleged drug war case ni FPRRD. Okay, so in relation to that po, ang i-discuss ko sa inyo ngayon ay kung ano ba talaga yung tamang pag-aresto at pag-surrender sa mga alleged co-perpetrators daw po ni FPRRD, kung whether or not pwede ba talaga kunin lang si Senator Bato, Senator Bongo, former secretary, former PNP chief, na kunin lang po ng basta-basta at dalhin lang dun sa The Hague without the proper judicial or legal process. Kung tama po ba talaga yon or kung unconstitutional ba yung magiging ganong action. Okay? Okay, so ang finlash ko na lang po sa screen ay si Senator Bato at Senator Bongo kasi sila naman po talaga yung napapag-initan as to this issue because they are political allies po of the Duterte family na nandun sa Senate. And isa pa po na gusto kong ipa-clarify at ipaintindi po sa inyong lahat, my fellow taong bayan, is that this is a case or a matter of first impression, yung issue na yon kung whether or not pwede ba i-implement yung international warrant of arrest ng ICC without it undergoing judicial process or scrutiny dito po sa local courts natin. So in other words, kung pwede ba damputin lang si Senator Bato at Senator Bongo at idiretso na sa The Hague without yun nga, yung judicial and legal process sa local courts natin. Yan po yung simplest way to explain the issue. Okay, so because of that po, na matter of first impression to siya or case of first impression, ang lahat po ng naririnig ninyo na dinidiscuss, may it be from ordinary lawyers katulad ko or from legal luminaries po, ay legal opinions pa lang po yan kasi wala pa talagang decided or established legal principles na binigay ang Supreme Court. Okay? Pero ang gusto ko pong ipaalala sa inyong lahat, my fellow taong bayan, mga kasimor, ito pong lahat ng dinidiscuss ko sa inyong lahat ay my own personal understanding as a Filipino citizen who is of course a licensed lawyer po, a husband, a father, and a private and ordinary lawyer who truly loves and is passionate about the Constitution. Okay? At i-emphasize ko lang din po sa inyong lahat, wala po akong political party at present. I am a former member of Congress, a former deputy minority leader of the 17th Congress, but after my term, nag-low profile na po ako, nag-lay low ako sa politics, and I focused mainly on private ventures and private practice. So yan lang din po, gusto ko lang din talaga ipaalam sa inyo yung credentials and of course my personality para alam ninyo kung whether or not may bias ba tong i-discuss ko sa inyong professional assessment ko as to that issue. So ang sagot ko po dyan ay hindi po pwede na si Senator Bato, Senator Bongo, or any Filipino citizen na basta-basta na lang po kunin at i-surrender at ipadala po dun sa ICC without undergoing the proper judicial scrutiny or judicial process po dito sa local courts natin. Okay, at unang-una po yung rason ko dyan is because of the 1987 Constitution. To be specific po, yung provisions under the Bill of Rights. Pinakauna ko pong ipapakita sa inyong constitutional provision is the very first section po sa Bill of Rights, Section 1, Article 3, which is the right to due process. So no person shall be deprived of the right to life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Okay, so that is very straightforward po. Ang ibig sabihin po niyan, hindi po kayo pwede mawalan ng karapatan ninyong maging malaya na hindi nag-undergo ng due process in accordance sa batas. So kung makita po nyo dito, of law ang binabanggit, therefore, ang pinapag-usapan po dyan is judicial process or judicial scrutiny dito sa local courts natin kasi yung judiciary naman po yung may power para mag-review ng mga legal na bagay-bagay. Okay, so nasa Article 8 po yan, Section 1. The judicial power shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such lower courts. Judicial power includes the duty, so on and so forth. So basahin nyo na lang po to. But yung point ko talaga dito, when we talk about legal matters, judicial matters, yung judicial branch po ng government, yung may kapangyarihan yan. So hindi po yung Department of Justice yung may kapangyarihan yan because the Department of Justice po or the DOJ is under the executive branch of government. Kaya nga po yung tawag dyan sa pinaka-head nila is Secretary of Justice because he is part of the cabinet. He is one of the cabinet secretaries po of the President under the executive branch. Okay, so again, hindi po kayo pwede mawalan ng karapatan ninyong maging malaya without undergoing due process of law or the proper judicial or legal proceedings. Okay, so hopefully klaro po yan. And then yung next ko pong gusto ipakita sa inyo ay yung sumunod din pong section mismo, section 2 of Article 3. So this talks about the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, so on and so forth. So dapat po secure daw yung personality natin at yung mga properties natin. So in relation to this, ang sinabi po ng Constitution, no search warrant or warrant of arrest shall issue except upon probable cause to be determined personally by the judge after examination, so on and so forth. So again, very self-explanatory po. The only time na pwede po magkaroon ng warrant of arrest or search warrant is after personal examination ng judge kung whether or not may probable cause ba para mag-issue ng warrant of arrest. Diba? So kung tingnan nyo pa lang po, Section 2 and Section 1, they are very closely related po talaga na pag warrant of arrest ang pinapag-usapan, it really involves judicial scrutiny, the judicial process, or the right to due process po natin. Okay? So ngayon, ang alam ko naman po, ang magiging next counter dito is, ang pinapag-usapan naman is international warrant, hindi local warrant, diba? Okay, so ang masasabi ko lang naman po doon is, mali po yun kung ako po tatanungin ninyo, kasi hindi po mas lamang yung mga international documents, kahit na po international warrant yan, sa mga local documents natin or local warrants of arrest. Kasi kung titingnan lang po ninyo, we will just apply basic logic. It is very unreasonable na pag local warrant, it will undergo very strict judicial scrutiny, judicial process. Pero pag international, kasi pala in-issue ng ibang korte, automatic, i-recognize lang at i-execute natin dito. Sobrang unreasonable po, di ba? And illogical. Because that can be argued po as something that can possibly affect po our internal sovereignty. Kasi ngayon, ang dating niyan, parang mas mahina pala yung judicial, yung local judicial system natin dito compared to the international courts, di ba? And isa pa po na masasabi kong counter as to that argument is wala naman pong any batas, wala rin pong constitutional provision as far as I know po based on all my research na nagsasabi na pag international warrant of arrest, automatic, pwede lang yun basta-basta ma-execute at ma-implement dito without undergoing itong Section 1 at Section 2. Wala po akong nabasang provision na ganyan. Okay? Kaya nga po, even in other cases po natin, one of the most common sa ganyan po na ako po personally na hawakan kong kaso is yung tinatawag na recognition of foreign divorce dito sa local judicial system natin. Kasi kung kayo po isang Filipino, may asawa kayong foreigner, kumuha po kayo ng divorce abroad, hindi po porket nakakuha na kayo ng divorce decree abroad, ay automatic pwede agad kayo magpakasal dito without having that decree being recognized muna dito. Diba? Kung pupunta lang kayo dito magpakasal, hindi po kayo i-issuehan yan ng Senomar ng local civil registrar natin. Diba? So somewhat similar din po yan because an international warrant of arrest is also an international document like that of an international divorce decree. So dyan pa lang po may kita natin na again, international documents are not automatically recognized in our country without it undergoing proper due process of law. Lalong-lalo na po na pag warrant of arrest ang pinapag-usapan kasi that involves fundamentally protected constitutional rights of the right to liberty ng isang tao. Kaya kailangan po talaga yan ng proper and very strict judicial scrutiny and judicial process. Okay? Yan po ang masasabi ko kung ako po ang tatanungin ninyo or kung ako po yung magiging abogado ninyo as to that issue. Okay, so ngayon po i-discuss ko naman sa inyo yung mga local laws or to be specific yung RA 9851 po. So just a quick break lang po. Gusto ko lang po magpasalamat sa inyong lahat, my fellow taong bayan, mga kasimor ko, because we have recently crossed the 380,000 subscriber mark po. So thank you very much po sa lahat ng nag-subscribe and of course thank you in advance po sa mga magsasubscribe pa lang. And tandaan po ninyo, pag sa YouTube po kayo mag-subscribe, 100% free po yan. So hopefully po you can consider subscribing and of course i-like din po mismo yung video na to. Okay, so ngayon po tuloy tayo sa discussion. Okay, so this is Republic Act 9851 or ito po yung batas natin in relation to violation of international humanitarian law. Yung basically yung ano po, yung kinaso against FPRRD sa ICC. And to be specific po, yung pinaka-important na provision dito na laging sinasite in relation dun sa pag-surrender daw na pwede lang isurrender sila Senator Bato is yung nasa Section 17. Okay, so kung makikita po nyo, Chapter 7, Jurisdiction, Section 17, pero yung relevant provision po natin talaga dito is this one. Yan. Instead, the authorities may surrender or extradite suspected or accused persons in the Philippines to the appropriate international court, if any, or to another state pursuant to the applicable extradition laws and treaties. So from here po, makita natin, again, it relates to judicial proceedings or a judicial process kasi may surrender or extradite pursuant to applicable extradition laws and treaties. Okay, so again, batas po ang pinapag-usapan, and to implement mga batas po dito sa atin is of course it has to undergo judicial scrutiny. Hindi po porket sinabi ditong surrender ay literal kukunin at isosurrender mo lang yung tao, because that is highly questionable po and very unreasonable kung ako po ang tatanungin ninyo. And kung titingnan po natin further, Section 17, sa baba, wala na po, tapos na yung batas na to. It's already the Section 19, 20, Separability Clause, Repealing Clause, Effectivity. Tapos kung i-search nyo rin po, wala namang implementing rules and regulations itong batas na to. So yung point ko po dyan, there is no clear rules or law which states how to properly implement itong surrender na term na ginamit dito ng RA 9851. Okay? So kung ganyan po na walang klarong procedure kung paano yan i-implement yung surrender, so dun tayo ngayon babalik sa basics, di ba? And yung basics po, like what I have discussed, is Section 1 and Section 2 of the Constitution. Meaning, it must undergo judicial process na lang, at dapat po ito na lang yung i-apply na may personal examination of a judge before ma-implement or execute ang isang international warrant of arrest from ICC. Okay? Because yun nga po, wala nang nakalagay na provisions dito. After Section 17, dito lang po yan binanggit yung term na surrender ng isang akusado in violation of international humanitarian law. Aside from this, wala na pong any mention, wala pong rules of procedure. Okay, so yan lang po ang gusto kong i-emphasize at ipaintindi sa inyo. Again, pag i-visualize po ninyo yan, wag nyo po isipin na kontrapartido sa politika yung mga taong involved dito. It is very unreasonable and clearly something that will be easily abused kung papayag tayo na basta-basta lang isurrender ang isang Pilipino sa international body without undergoing judicial scrutiny. Okay? So yan po ang masasabi ko as to the regular laws po natin, RA 9851. Ngayon po, pag-usapan naman natin yung international law na applicable dito sa issue na to, or to be specific po, yung Rome Statute. So alam ko naman po na hindi na tayo signatory sa Rome Statute, diba? Pero yung ginagamit kasing argument kaya daw po may jurisdiction yung ICC over FPRRD and his co-perpetrators dun sa war on drug cases is because of what we call residual jurisdiction. Meaning, since nagawa daw yung mga crimes during the time of the treaty, therefore, mag-apply yung provisions pa rin as a residual jurisdiction nga po. So with that argument, ang masasabi ko lang po, kung yung case proceedings ng ICC itself will be based on residual jurisdiction ng International Criminal Court in accordance with the Rome Statute, therefore, yung mga procedures po in relation sa pag-arrest or pag-surrender ng isang akusado sa ICC ay dapat din ma-apply yung mga provisions na yon under that residual jurisdiction. Kasi it is very illogical and unreasonable kung pwede ka mag-undergo ng proceedings pero yung rules as to how to arrest ay hindi pwede apply. Di ba yung pag-arrest po or pag-surrender, yun naman yung first step para mapadala ang isang akusado dun sa ICC. So if there is residual jurisdiction in the latter part of a case, the case proper, so it is more than logical po na yung residual jurisdiction will also apply dun sa preliminary matters, which is the arrest or surrender of an accused. Okay, so ngayon, ang titingnan po nating provision dito is yung Article 59 of the Rome Statute. Okay, so Article 59, arrest proceedings in the custodial state. At yung relevant provision po sa discussion natin is itong number 2. So makita po nyo, a person arrested shall be brought promptly before the competent judicial authority in the custodial state, which shall determine in accordance with the law of that state that the warrant applies to that person, the person has been arrested in accordance with the proper process, and the person's rights have been respected. So, di ba, even the Rome Statute itself, yung directive po nila ay dapat yung custodial state or yung bansa po na may custody over the person ng accused dito sa ICC ay ipadala dun sa competent judicial authority ng bansa na yun. Diba? So dito po sa Pilipinas, yung competent judicial authority po sa atin, like what I explained earlier, Section 1 of Article 8 of the 1987 Constitution, is the Supreme Court and such other lower courts. Again, hindi po yung Department of Justice kasi hindi po yun sila parte ng judicial system natin kasi under po yun ng executive branch. Diba? At kung makita po nyo itong ABC, this is actually just a reflection on how to properly respect the right to due process po of an accused in an ICC case, 'di ba? Dapat i-check mo na yung genuineness kung whether or not yung tao ba yon ay the correct accused na pinangalanan sa warrant of arrest and whether or not yung proper process na sunod ba. So this is basically yung yung judicial scrutiny lang at judicial process na yung pag-personally examine nga ng judge before mag-issue ng warrant of arrest na may execute locally, 'di ba? And of course, the person's rights have been respected. So again, yung position ko po dito, if the residual jurisdiction to try an accused based on the Rome Statute applies, therefore, all matters prior to the case proper should also be applied to that accused considering the arrest proceedings is part of the judicial process basically dun sa ICC. So therefore, that residual jurisdiction should also apply to Article 59 at hindi lang magsiskip automatic dun sa case proper na. Okay, so yan lang po ang masasabi ng isang ordinaryong abogado na tunay pong nagmamahal sa Constitution. Okay? Again, I am not a politician. I am just a private citizen na lang ngayon. May mga kaibigan po akong politician. Aminado po ako dyan kasi matagal po yung family namin in politics. But currently, I do not mingle with any politicians. This is simply me discussing based on how I understand the Constitution, our local laws, and international law. Okay? So hopefully klaro po yan. If you like more legal videos and current events, subscribe lang po kayo sa channel ko. And until next time, see you all po. Bye-bye!